Hi everybody, this is another primary prediction from me, and today it's between Joe Biden, who hasn't announced his candidacy yet, and Bernie Sanders, who has in late February. And Bernie Sanders is from the state of Vermont, and Joe Biden from the state of Delaware. And Joe Biden is, of course, the former vice president in the Obama administration, and Bernie Sanders is the independent senator from Vermont, Clinton, and lost in the primary in 2016. So let's go to Bernie Sanders' home state of Vermont. I think he would win there by about 93% to 1, a huge win for him. And then Joe Biden's home state of Delaware. Not Vermont. He would win there by about 82%. And in Pennsylvania, because he was born there, I also see that going to Joe Biden. So now we're gonna give some states that I think Biden would win. So currently Biden is in the lead. So Bernie Sanders, I see, would win. The state of California, he has more support among young people under the age of 30, so I see him winning there. Also in Oregon, a big progressive population would go to Sanders, as well as the state of Washington. Idaho, it's in the I see that going for Bernie Sanders, as well as the state of Montana. Wyoming, 8-5. Utah, 20-9, another progressive population. And in North Dakota, 78-21. Nebraska, about 16-9. And Kansas would be about 22-11, another very rural state. Oklahoma would go to Sanders, 67%. And Minnesota, 77-22. Wisconsin, I'm not going to touch. Indiana, 65%-34. West Virginia, about 75-25. And in a little more narrow. And in Alaska, I'm going to give that to Bernie Sanders. And I think Joe Biden would probably carry the state of Texas. Bernie Sanders did horrible in that state in the 2016 primary. So, sorry about that. I'm going to give that to Joe Biden. Louisiana, 74%-26%. Arkansas, 77%-22%. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, go to Joe Biden. South Carolina will also go to Joe Biden. North Carolina, about 70 delegates to 40 delegates. And in Virginia, I'm going to give that to Joe Biden. Also in the state of Tennessee, we'll go to Joe Biden, 67%. And in Kentucky, and that's a toss-up, I'm not going to touch. So in the state of Hawaii, that's probably going to stay with Bernie Sanders, because if we're going to be real, Tulsi Gabbard probably is going to be his running mate, or maybe Elizabeth Warren, but nonetheless, that will go to Bernie Sanders. He did well in the primary in 2016, and regardless, I see that going to him. So currently, Joe Biden is in a narrow lead with 1,192 delegates, and Bernie Sanders almost breaking 1,000. And in Maine, I'm going to give Maine, that will go to Bernie Sanders. And in the state of New Hampshire, because it is neighboring his home state of Vermont, I see that going to Bernie Sanders, breaking him over the 1,000 barrier. In New York, Sanders can appeal more to, I think, the rural and urban, and Joe Biden the same, but nonetheless I see it going to Sanders. And 144 to 80. And in Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren would back him, so I'm going to give 71% of the vote to Sanders. And in Connecticut, I see Bernie Sanders winning. But in the state of New Jersey, no, not Bernie Sanders. I'm going to give it to Joe Biden just because he is near that state. I feel that he can appeal to some people in the Northeast. And in Rhode Island, I'm going to give that to Joe Biden, 14-7. And in Maryland, no, it shouldn't be for Sanders. It should be about 56-23. And in the District of Columbia, that will overwhelmingly go for Joe Biden, 14-3 delegates. Now, Joe Biden is currently leading Sanders by over 100 delegates, but not too many. So, where can Sanders improve? I'm just going to give him Wisconsin, 77% to 22%, as well in Michigan. I think he'd win there because African Americans favor Bernie Sanders over Joe Biden. And in Kentucky, I think Bernie Sanders could appeal more the rural base in that state, so I'm going to give it to him. And actually, no, I'm going to give it to Joe Biden. I just see that he could appeal there other than Bernie Sanders. So Joe Biden is currently leading by 61 delegates. And in Nevada, I think Joe Biden could carry that state a little narrower than 2016, and as well as in Arizona, New Mexico, but Colorado will go for Bernie Sanders. So now only a few states and territories are left to categorize. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. Missouri, I'm going to give to Biden just because it is sort of in the South and also South Midwest. And in Iowa, I see Biden doing fairly well in that state because I don't know because it was so hotly contested in 2016, I don't know if it's going to go to him, but Sanders, and in South Dakota, that would go to him, Biden nonetheless. And Sanders, he has more support among African Americans in the state of Illinois and Ohio. So now Bernie Sanders is leading Joe Biden by about 8 delegates. And in the super delegates, I'm going to give it a 50-50 tie because it would be hard to have just one win. So currently Sanders is leading Biden by about 8 delegates. And in American Samoa, I see Sanders winning because he won the state of Hawaii. Democrats abroad would go to Bernie Sanders just because it went to him in 2016. Guam, another Bernie Sanders state, 66% to 33. Northern Mariana Islands, 66 to 33%. Virgin Islands, that would be pretty much safe for Biden. And in Puerto Rico, I see it going to Biden because it didn't go for Bernie in 2016, but very narrowly, only by a couple delegates. So now on the final delegate map, Bernie Sanders has won the primary with 2,274 delegates, and Joe Biden 2,258. Bernie Sanders winning narrowly, and I see this happening in real life. If Joe Biden doesn't announce his candidacy soon enough, I see Bernie Sanders surging in the polls. So Bernie Sanders will be the Democratic nominee for president for the presidency of the United States in the year 2020 in my prediction. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.